Alright guys, I just spent about half an hour working out on my exercise machine, so need to get changed and get the car keys, and we're going out and do some road testing. So stand by. I have a lot of driving to do in the 4th of July weekend, so I was looking for an economical car. So Kia sent me a Niro SX Touring. And it says it's a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder with hybrid electric motor, 6-speed dual clutch automatic. Hey, no CVT transmission. Thank you. We're off to a good start. 53 MPG city, 45 highway, and 49 overall. If the gas tank is 11 gallons, as I'm told it is, that put us just over 500 miles in the ideal world. Where's this thing made? Oh, Korea. Okay. So we have some good quality coming. The base price is $27,000, but this is the deluxe model, so with more goodies, it costs more, as we can see. I find it absolutely astounding that at this price tag, they would actually charge you $155 more for carpeted floor mats. Come on, guys. Shouldn't this be standard? They just can't help themselves. Well, here's a list of standard goodies you get. I'll just scroll down a bit. And there's the total tab. Alright, we got the car delivered, but before we take a closer look at the vehicle, let's look at the specs. We have 8,968 miles on the odometer. And according to the computer, we have 499 miles to go before we hit empty. We'll see if that's true. Wow, 113 degrees outside today. A little warm. By the way, we also drove some other Kias and did videos on them, like the Kia EV6 GT electric vehicle. That was a quick one. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video. We also tested the Kia Telluride V6. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video as well. So here's the vehicle in person. We're in the shade against the wall because it's very windy out today, and if I don't stand here, the wind will drown out the microphone. You won't be able to hear me. And contrary to popular belief, this is not an SUV. It's classified as a station wagon because it has lower ground clearance. Just so you'll know. First thing we do when we get a vehicle is check and see what brand the tires are, because manufacturers are putting a lot of cheap junk tires on today to save money, even on the more expensive vehicles. But here we have Continentals, and that's a pretty good brand, so no complaints from me. Next we want to check and see if there's a spare tire. A lot of vehicles don't have that nowadays. Not a problem until you get a flat and start walking. And no spare tire, just a cheesy repair kit. I brought my own repair kit with a more powerful air pump and stop leak and all the stuff. If you make out-of-town trips, I suggest you get a spare tire. And by the way, this hatch is electric, kind of unusual for a small car. Like I couldn't be able to lift it myself. And the third thing we do is take the headlights out in the dark and so they perform and do night driving. And we did this on a separate YouTube video already, but if you didn't see that, we'll tack it on to part 3 of this video so you don't miss out. Getting in the cabin, the first thing we notice is a stick shift. I prefer push button myself, but I can live with this. The sun visors slide back and forth to keep the rays out from the side windows. Some vehicles you can't do this amazingly, but we can do it here. Get a decent sized glove box. And they have a spec sheet in here to give you all the great news on the Niro and its good features. I'm not going to read all this stuff, but let's see. Best in class second row legroom, best in class passenger room, best in class interior volume. Must be true. Here's all the goodies you get for collision protection. I'm not going to read this, just post it. If you want to read it, freeze it. The Niro offers a modern, eco-friendly cabin. Standard and available interior highlights include Extensive use of recycled plastic throughout interior. That's a selling point. Okay, 100% vegan leather surfaces on select trims. And here we get the digital gauge cluster. Alright, let's take a few gripes. First of all, this air conditioning does blow a lot of cold air, but as you might have noticed earlier in the video, it's not quiet. And secondly, the only knob we have is for the temperature. One here, one over there. Everything else is finger touch push button. Not a problem when you're sitting still, but you're moving along at 75 miles per hour. This does not work. These little tiny icons bouncing around, trying to adjust the fan speed, all this stuff. I like Kias, but guys, you need to quit doing this. I can see this knob through my side vision. I'm still looking at the road. And I don't even have to look at it. I can feel, no problem. But this, you can't feel anything. You can't see anything unless you're taking your eyes off the road. This is not a good system. I don't like it. Give us some knobs, please. Stop trying to save money. Fortunately, we have some buttons down here you can't see because of the reflection, but this is for the heated seat, air conditioned seat, heated steering wheel, camera system, seats for the right. And here's the rear view camera system. Alright, just a few things. I stated earlier I was going to see if we get 500 miles out of a tank. I just don't have time to do city driving to get that 50 plus MPG. So we have to take this out on a highway trip. See if we can get the 45 MPG. And number two, it is hot in July in the desert. And hybrids don't like heat, just like electric cars don't like cold weather. So I imagine if we get more than 40 MPG, we're going to be lucky, but you never know. We'll find out. Before we do the official fuel economy test, I just want to show you something. By driving extremely slow on the back roads and keeping speed under 50 miles per hour, I did manage 67 miles to the gallon. It can be done, but of course this doesn't represent normal driving in my book. And in city driving, keeping my foot off the gas, I did manage 44.4. But after this, we'll be doing freeway only, so I suspect the numbers will drop. Especially as it gets hot during the day, over 100 degrees. We'll see. Oh yes, and one other thing, unlike other YouTube channels where they purposely drive below the speed limit to bump up the numbers on the computer, you know who you are. We don't do that here. We do not drive under the speed limit. If I have to pass, I have to pass. That's normal driving in my book. That's how we roll. So we might use a few MPG on that too, so we'll find out. Before we get on the highway, let's take this around the parking lot and see how the power steering is. And kind of heavy and vague, rubbery. Not much feel or feedback, but it's something you get used to. No biggie. The ride seems pretty decent on rough pavement. We'll find out when we get on the road. 0 to 60. Oh. Not bad, but you're not going to win any drag races. Having only 6 gears in the transmission doesn't help, but still far better than CVT, so I'm not complaining. I'll take a real transmission with 6-speed anyway. Although it's kind of odd to have a dual clutch. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot there's a drive mode button on the steering wheel. Gives you the choice between Eco and Sport. Where's the normal mode in between? I guess we don't get that. Eco or Sport, alright. Guess we'll be doing Eco. I'll have to say, as a highway cruiser, I'm very impressed. This is a very comfortable suspension, very smooth, and the wind noise overall the vehicle is reasonably low. These are pretty nice seats too, excellent headrests. No complaints thus far. I mentioned earlier I didn't like reaching over with the tip of my finger to operate the controls. especially on the radio. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that because here we have the volume control on the right and the tuner for stations on the left mounted on the steering wheel, so it's a nice convenience that I appreciate. It's far better than reaching way over here and taking my eyes off the road, because my eyes belong here on the pavement. Driving in Arizona, you see this sign, stop and see the thing. Here's another one. To relieve your curiosity, the thing is nothing more than a rest stop and souvenir stand. I remember some years ago they had a big sign saying stop by and see Hitler's Rolls Royce, so I stopped to see Hitler's Rolls Royce. There was a dummy of Hitler inside the front seat, but the problem is Hitler never had a Rolls Royce, and number two, since the car was a 1953 model year, I think there's a credibility gap there. I think the Rolls Royce is long gone, though. The Thing, another sign, the Thing. They're just really going full out, aren't they? And there it is. Getting an awful lot of glare from the shiny plastic around the shifter. It's really blinding me. Car companies, quit using shiny plastic in your vehicles, please. I guess I'll just have to cover this plastic up with my hat. I'd like to thank Rick Shadell Trucking Company in Jonesboro, Tennessee for giving me your free hat. I'm getting good use out of it at the moment. Alright, let's pull over and do a mileage check. Alright, 135 miles, just under 2 hours, 42.5 mpg. Not too bad thus far. It's going to be a lot hotter later on in the day, so might drop the numbers down a bit. We'll see. Alright, my last stop. 33 miles, 41.8 mpg. And since refueling, the very beginning of our trip, 341 miles, 38.8 mpg. If you had the 341 miles we've done, with the 72 miles we have left, that's just a bit over 410 miles off the tank. Not bad, considering the weather and the heat. That means we got just over 410 miles off a tank, considering the hot weather and the passing I did on the highway. I'd say that's a reasonable figure. Obviously, you live somewhere where the speed limit's 70 miles per hour and the temperature's a lot cooler. I don't think I have a problem reaching the 45 mpg they're claiming. So what's my take on this Kia after a week of driving? Well, obviously I do not like the finger touch controls at all. But I guess it's not a deal killer because the rest of the vehicle is pretty nice, very comfortable to drive. Racked up a lot of miles on this and had no complaints otherwise. The question is, how does this compare to the Toyota Prius? Well, we got one coming in 3 weeks, so subscribe. You don't want to miss that video. If you didn't see our headlight test and night drive video we did on YouTube, well, you can watch it now, part 3 of the video. Alright, it's dark enough. Let's check out these headlights and see how they perform. And here are the taillights. Quite stylish, I think. And this is interesting. The emergency lights are totally separated from the taillights. Pretty bright, too. It's a good idea. Have the emergency lights in the outside mirror, too. And I think my lens is getting a little blurry. Looks a lot better in person. Now with the headlights off, yeah, definitely bright. No problem seeing these. And of course, nothing's changed back here since they're separate from the taillights. And here's what the camera looks like when you put it in reverse. Gauge cluster lights up pretty good. A nice modern design. Not too many gadgets in here, so not too many lights. Alright, let's check out the headlights on a wall 33 yards away. Very bright, decent height, widespread. Looking good. High beam. Looking good again. Now long distance on low beam. Come on, get in focus here. There we go. Not enough light to focus. With high beams on, now we have enough light to focus. Definitely lights up that building. Excellent. If you watch my videos, you know I cannot stand auto-dimming mirrors, although if they have a disconnect switch, I'll give it a pass, but doesn't seem to be a disconnect switch on the rearview mirror here, so I'm not very pleased, but you can always block it off by putting a piece of tape over the sensor hole, which I guess is what I'm going to have to do. And let's try another long-distance headlight test. It's over 100 yards away. Reaches out. And I forgot to show the blue light on the dash. That's above the glove box. Doesn't seem to serve any purpose. It's just there. It looks okay. There's a better view of it. By the way, keeping the speed at 55 miles per hour. Oops, 59.5 miles to the gallon. Let's get on the freeway and light up some signs. Low beam, high beam. Reaching out pretty good. There definitely will not be any problem operating these lights in city limits, nor will they be on the highway. Unfortunately, I don't have time to take a highway trip right now. Did that today. Almost 450 miles, so I'm running out of time. Okay, let's take some dark, dingy streets. And here are a few right here. Some even have their Christmas lights still up. Go figure. Alright, it's a little dark and dingy down the street there, but now we can light things up. And you not only have a nice beam going straight ahead, you can see a lot to the left and right, good widespread. I would say the headlight test did very well. These are nice headlights, and overall, the lights, thumbs up, except for the mirror that has no auto-dimming turn-off, but you can't have everything.